Good evening and a warm welcome to Dato and all the participants that has joined us today. Our webinar's title is State in Line with the Truth About Pandemic and Epidemics series. It is an initiative by Dato to educate the public on health. I hope you guys will enjoy the session as much as learn the truth about health. Today's topic will be Eat Right to Fight the Pandemics and Epidemics. Dato, I'm passing on the floor to you.
Thank you, Yamuna. Namaskaram to all of you all. Welcome. Let me explain. I'm not going to just talk about when we mean epidemics and pandemics. We are not just going to talk about this virus and virus and virus and virus. It's so sickening. Keeping this COVID virus. It will go away from herd immunity itself, like common flu. It will go away. What people's views are, what's the latest scientific informations are. So those postings would be very useful for you all to go through. And always remember, if you are taking a treatment, the treatment should actually prevent you from getting sick. So that's the basic criteria of any treatment. But this is conventional treatment. What I'm trying to do here is to educate you all to look at the other aspect of health treatment. This is always understanding and treating the body as a whole, very holistic, instead of compartmentalizing your treatment, focusing on heart or kidney or eyes and so on, and understanding the root cause of any disease or illness that we all come across. It's always this principle: find out the root cause and fix the root cause. This is only possible if we use natural agents. Underscore the word natural agents. No drugs can fix the root cause. Your body is not asking for drugs. It's only asking, it's crying to help to heal itself. And you can only do that with natural help. So one of the main or the strongest pillars of health is diet. So unfortunately, when we enter medical school, I think until we finish, we spend 3-4 hours on nutritional medicine. But this is the strongest pillar. If this you take care, the rest of it will be easier. But then there are many, many pillars of health. My intention is to keep covering one by one. So let's talk about diet. I'm going to make it very simple. There are experts in this group who will give you more information. But in my opinion, a diet that I prescribe to my patients should be simple enough to understand and follow, instead of measuring and calculating calories for every meal. People will give up. And number two, I always believe and emphasize that the transition should be slow. Some of us are very determined to start the change 100% the next day, but many people will have difficulty in doing so. And the other important point is this: those who have been used to sugar and heavy carbohydrate diet, if you push them to change overnight drastically, they'll go through a lot of trouble. They'll have lots of cravings, and they have like healing crisis, makes them sick and likely to give up on your diet. So I believe that the transition should be slow, but diet determines your health and your sickness. And this is true for every one of us from the newborn. So in order to enjoy good health, it also depends on when you start actually looking after your health. So the standard food pyramid is unhealthy. And this is based on the SAD diet, or the standard American diet. See, whenever every one of us have very strong cultural background, especially in Asia, the culture is so strongly rooted, and the diet is very different from Western diet, including the herbs that you use. Go back to your cultural roots. Go back to what your great-grandparents ate, and unlikely you'll make a mistake. And then in every country, there are native people. Look at their diet and you'll understand what is missing in their diet, whatever that you are eating and what they are not consuming will give you a huge idea about what is a healthy diet. Simple. You don't need a lot of medical advice. And for those who are interested, there is a book called Physical Degeneration. Often I can't remember. If you type physical degeneration, this was the work done by a dentist from UK in the 1970s who studied native people, their health, especially the teeth, oral health. And he clearly demonstrated that when you change the diet to the Western diet, everything degenerates, starting from the oral health, teeth and gums and all that. So there is a lot of evidence to show that eating a healthy diet is the way to go from the newborn to the last breath that we take. So be aware of which kind of food pyramid you're looking at. Now, this is a standard food pyramid. This is what we have been taught in schools. And I believe most believe that this is the diet that you should follow or you are addicted to. Look at the amount of carbohydrates. That becomes the biggest chunk. So the lecture is going to focus on making you understand simple facts about carbohydrates. It won't be very complicated. I'm not training doctors, so it will be simple enough for everybody to understand. Carbohydrates, excess carbohydrates is a cause of trouble. So that's going to be my focus. And then the fruits and vegetables have become less. Protein is less. Fat is very little. So the big portion of this is carbohydrate. And sadly, I think there's a bowl of rice, a lot of bread, and most of this, if you look at, is gluten-based. So how can someone be healthy when they eat a large amount of gluten-based diet? So this we have to change. What should be a healthy diet? Our body is made 70% of water, so there should be plenty of water. I believe alkaline or hydrogen water would be a better choice, or any clean water if you can't afford to have a filter. And the foundation should be on lots of vegetables. I'll share my simple formula that I advise my patients. A lot of it is vegetables because especially if they are organic, they give you a lot of nutrients, nutritious value, and they keep the body and the blood alkaline. Remember, keeping your body alkaline is fundamental to health. An alkaline body functions better. When the body is acidic or the cell surrounding is acidic, every part of the cell function is affected and cell health deteriorates. And the other important thing to remember is acidic body is where cancer cell grows. Germs like fungus especially grow only in an acidic body. So maintaining an alkaline body is vital to health, including your immune system, your detoxification, and the whole system to function well. So it can contain lots of vegetables. You can have your fruits, eat them in an empty stomach, but be wary of genetically modified fruits, seedless grapes. Nowadays, you have fruits without seeds, and this is monstrous in my opinion. Nature never created them. Sometimes when we think that we are the smartest being in this universe, we create things that go against nature. And nowadays, it's also true that fruits are very, very sweet. So be wary and eat local fruits, fresh fruits. Eat them in moderate amounts in an empty stomach. Yeah, try not to mix food and fruits. Then you need fair amount of proteins because proteins are very important for bodybuilding. Proteins are the ones that the body uses to form your enzymes, hormones. Many of these need a good amount of proteins. And because they supply all the amino acids, some of that you get it from food, some you make yourself. You can combine this protein with nuts and seeds. I don't separate beans and peas, although they have carbohydrates, they all do have proteins, and they can be a good meal replacement. And with this, You should have lots of good fats, which we will discuss. And you can always add herbs. So this would be a better food pyramid. The only thing that is missing here is the fats. You need fats, number one, because it helps the body, especially good fats, medium chain triglycerides that they were like the coconut oil. And it also gives you the satiety, so we don't end up eating a lot. And remember, the signal from the stomach to the brain that tells you you're full takes about 20 minutes. So it's good to chew your food and eat slowly. And always eat, don't eat till your stomach is full. Be about 10-20% less is better for easy digestion and for health. Don't eat until you're full or bursting full. Sometimes you, occasionally it's okay if you're enjoying a feast. And in Malaysia, if you see a lot of pigs, oh, the hotel is happy, everybody is happy. Very heavy face, very, very heavy. Once in a way you want to enjoy, yes, but not on a regular basis. So as much as possible, foods can be eaten as raw vegetables. Beans and peas, sprouts can be sprouted. Seeds can be sprouted. Sprouts are great for health. They have actually they are foods where a lot of or all the vitamins would have been activated. So sprouting is a a good way of. So when do we start eating healthy? Because I've been obstetrician for very long time, I know how important it is for mothers to deliver a healthy baby. And over the 30 years, I've seen a big drop in fertility, an increase in babies born with congenital anomalies, a huge increase in babies with neonatal jaundice, a lot of babies with respiratory distress syndrome, a lot of young children who are constantly sick, and a lot of dyslexic children, autistic children, children with behavioral disorders, psychiatric disorders. Poor performers in school, I don't clearly understand what they mean by poor performance, but there's so much that is happening to very, very young children, newborns and young children. So where do you think good health should start? It should start before conception. This is what I always emphasize to young couples. If you are planning for a pregnancy, at least get healthy first for at least 3 months, both husband and wife couple. And during pregnancy, it's very, very important to maintain good health. Sadly, it is often just an ultrasound, iron and folic acid. Of course, those days when I studied obstetrics, there was no ultrasound. We used to use the horoscope to hear the fetal heart, and everything was by palpation. Where the head is, where the buttocks, amount of water inside, baby's weight, and everything was by palpation. It's okay, ultrasound, unless you can avoid doing too many ultrasounds. But what is important is how you take care of the mother's health. It is very important to advise them on a healthy diet, which we'll discuss. That's the purpose of this discussion. It's very important that they are sufficient in vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids. And it is very, very important that they have adequate hormones. Now, remember, I can't go into the details now. I can tell you many, many, many cases. Some of you who are here listening will agree to what I say. When, for example, how important nutritional medicine is for doctors, especially obstetricians, because we can make a great service to mankind by giving the opportunity to mothers to deliver healthy babies. Now, if I see a baby which is small for dates, we have medical terms for that, IUGR and small for dates. Now, very often, we don't know what to do. So we just keep monitoring, ask the mothers to eat more, rest more, and at some point in time in pregnancy, we take out the baby because the baby will stop growing, or the water will get less, and then we'll have to take out a premature baby by cesarean section. What is important, if you understand nutritional medicine, is just essential fatty acids. you increase the amount of omega fatty acids, and the baby will start growing within 2 weeks. And of course, there are other reasons. It could be zinc deficiency, amino acid deficiency, but you'll see very good results just with omega-3 fatty acids. So that's how important knowledge about nutritional medicine, and is for mothers who would, those who are planning to conceive and those who are already pregnant. This is very important. So it's very important before and during pregnancy. And one of the most critical hormones to monitor during pregnancy and correct the deficiency would be the mother's thyroid hormone, because it decides the health of the future generations. If you all are interested, send in what the next future topics would be, and I'll try to cover. So, and once the baby is born, breastfeeding is the best. I tell my patients that's what the breasts are for, not for any other purpose. Of course, there are many other purposes, sorry to say, but then the primary purpose of the breast of a mother is to feed the baby. But unfortunately, now cows are feeding the newborns. So what do you expect the children to be? And I mentioned the last webinar that the milk, infant formulas are already enriched with sugar. So you are actually addicting the newborns with sugar from the time of birth, which is extremely sad. And I just don't buy the story that, mothers won't be able to produce milk. Intention must be genuine, and the effort must be good. Then there will be lactation. And also remember, if the mother is hypothyroid and you maintain a healthy diet, good activity, sun exposure, early to bed during childhood and adolescence, then you'll build a strong foundation. Then the adult life will be. So without these, then it's likely that the health will deteriorate from early adulthood onwards, and diseases will come. But if you understand diet, there's still a lot you can do to reverse these things. So the healthy diet is then continued for as long as you desire to live. When I say live, living with optimum health, that means you are active and strong, not just limping around. And unfortunately, many of us, this is what we subject ourselves to when we age. Something you can think about and do. There are a lot of things we can do about aging healthy. Now, coming to carbohydrates. This is simple because, as I mentioned, most of this information was meant for the public. So I'm going to keep it very simple. When I say it's what is carbohydrates, what I mean is that when you eat, they become sugar in the body. So I don't include in this category complex carbohydrates from vegetables. They do have. And there are also carbohydrates and beans and peas, some nuts. We are not talking about that. We are talking about carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates, which become sugar in your body. Now, why am I stressing on this? We all know, or most of us know, that when you eat carbohydrates, it becomes sugar in the body. So what is the big problem? Because you have high blood sugar for maybe 1 or 2 hours, then it comes down. But you don't suffer from headache, you don't suffer from fever, nothing happens. You are still okay until the sugar has been high for a very long time and you're diagnosed as diabetic and something hits you. Otherwise, you're asymptomatic. This is the #1 problem that people don't realize when they eat carbohydrates. So make sure your fasting blood sugar, which should be below 5. And 2 hours after meal, the best is optimum level should be up to 6. Don't follow the lab reference range. Okay. So what happens when there is sugar in the body? The body is designed to help the sugar to enter the cell so that it can be used and burned for energy. That is the purpose. So you can live on sugar, no problem. If you have a small amount, the body will produce the hormone called insulin. Almost all of us know what insulin is. So when you eat a moderate or small amount of carbohydrate, you don't spike up your sugar. However, when this changes, when there is a spike in sugar, there is always a spike in the amount of insulin you secrete. And the amount of insulin you secrete will be higher in those who have been always used to eating a lot of carbs. Let me explain. So we have a cell and the insulin is supposed to dock onto the cell. We call them receptors, and it helps the sugar to enter the cell. Now, if you constantly over months and years start to eat a lot of carbohydrates, then the cells will become resistant to insulin, which means insulin won't be effective in carrying as much sugar into your body, glucose. So when that happens, we call this insulin resistance. But this is not diagnosed because very few doctors check fasting insulin levels, which is a very, very important test. All of you all should always check your fasting insulin levels, without which you cannot decide people's health. You don't know, you can't advise what's going to come. I call it having high insulin levels is like having A to Z disease, anything you can think of. So when there is insulin resistance, the body being very intelligent will keep increasing the amount of insulin. This is the problem, because high insulin level will suppress your immune system for the next 6 to 8 hours. But again, you don't feel anything. There is no headache, no fever, no joint pain. You don't vomit, you don't feel sick. So everybody is happy because insulin level also not checked. So you don't know what is brewing inside until something hits you. And unfortunately, it could be bad. So controlling the insulin is the key to remaining youthful and to prevent disease. Very, very important. And you control your insulin secretion or insulin levels by controlling the amount of sugar in the blood. And that is controlled by the amount of carbohydrates you eat. So now coming to carbohydrates, then the next question is, what can I eat? So it's very simple. Understand the type of carbohydrates one can take. Those are safe. If it is not unhealthy, if I say this is a poison, you want to enjoy once in a way, go ahead. Yeah. You may not be able to follow 100% of what I say, but you will understand what is good, what is unhealthy, and you'll know how to relax your rules occasionally. So what type of carbohydrates you can take, how much carbs you can eat, and when you should eat or avoid carbs. Type, amount, and timing. So these three are very important principles for carbohydrate consumption. The other important point, please remember this. I told you that this pandemic is not the final one. This is not the end of all. You will get more and more and more. It could be epidemic, it could be pandemic, but remember, when we say pandemic, don't be misguided that we should be talking only about viruses. If anything happens in a large population, then it's called pandemic. It's just the number, epidemic. And if it happens in most countries, then it becomes a pandemic. It's just, you can look at the definition. So is diabetes an epidemic? Of course it is. Can it become a pandemic? Yes, of course. If we go on living like this. Is hypertension or heart disease or cancer, are these diseases pandemics? Certainly they are. So this is why I didn't want to put that as diet for COVID. It's better you understand. All these diseases, when they become common, they affect a large proportion of the population. By definition, they are epidemics. And the difference is between epidemic and pandemic is just a number. Okay. So why so much of, let's talk about viral infection now and immune system. Relate to immune system. Of course, cancer is immune system also. Okay. Why do you think eating a high carbohydrate diet predisposes one to getting infected, a virus or bacteria or fungus or cancer for that matter? Because for one reason, we cannot make vitamin C, I mentioned. Maybe the next lecture, I'll be talking about vitamin C. Human body cannot make vitamin C. If you want to look after your health, your children's health, your friends, your family's health, think about vitamin C. We will cover what vitamin C, how much to take and how often to take and so on. Vitamin C and glucose, yeah, they have an antagonistic action. So we call it glucose ascorbate antagonism, GAA. Both need insulin to enter the cell. Listen very carefully. Both vitamin C and glucose need insulin to enter the cell. Unfortunately, don't ask me why, glucose as a preferential entry. That means in the presence of vitamin C and glucose, glucose enters the cell first. So what happens if you have too much sugar in your blood? Because you love your carbohydrates, you love your pastas and pizzas and sugar and all that, you have glucose entering the cell. And your vitamin C cannot enter the cell, even if you take a lot of vitamin C. So the only way to control this and allow vitamin C to enter your cell and fight these epidemics and pandemics and many, many other diseases is to have reasonable amount of blood sugar and eat low carb diet. Okay. Now, another problem of eating too much carbs and having high blood sugar and the resulting hyperinsulinemia is this. Insulin is also necessary to carry potassium, amino acids, as well as magnesium into the cell. Magnesium have other carriers. So when someone has been eating a very high carb diet and they become insulin resistant, like what I mentioned just now. So the insulin will not be able to carry the potassium, magnesium, and amino acids into the cell. So if you don't have amino acids, you don't make muscle, don't build muscle. This is why end-stage diabetics lose muscle. If you can't get potassium and magnesium into the cell, then you become deficient, intracellular deficiency. What it leads to? Hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, low energy, and the whole gamut of diseases. So just by eating a lot of carbs, you are not only increasing your risk of infections and cancers, but to hypertension, heart disease, and a lot of other things. I hope this point is very clear. And this is a double-edged sword. Our immune cells have a lot of insulin receptors because the nature designed it in such a way. As soon as you have vitamin C, it's supposed to go into the cell more than the glucose. But again, if you have too much glucose, and because immune cells have a lot of insulin receptors, a lot of glucose can get into your immune cells and the immune cell function can be disrupted. A high carbohydrate meal weakens the immune system for the next 6 to 8 hours. Okay. So complex carbohydrates you can get from, these are carbohydrates that I'll tell my patients that they can eat. Vegetables, of course, big portion, sweet potatoes, nuts, beans, and peas. Simple carbohydrates, let's say it's from rice, but the refined ones are the worst because they have been stripped of all the nutrients. So they are the sugars and white flour, including oats and all the breakfast cereals, and there's a long list. So if you Google refined carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates, you'll get a long list of them. Of course, fruits are also simple carbohydrates, fructose. Too much is not necessary because it's not like glucose that is used for energy. Fructose body does not use for energy. So excess will be converted into fats, and then I'm sure you all would have come across the term called fatty liver. It is because of too much carbs. Excess carbs will be converted into triglycerides by the insulin, and it will be deposited in the liver. So that causes fatty liver. So if you divide your meal into understanding the amount of carbohydrates, vegetables, proteins, and carbs, and choosing the type of carbs, you will be fine. But if you want to be very stringent, very accurate, then you can go on calculating the calories, read Google and see how much calories each food contains. So insulin, I mentioned that it's a very, very critical test for all of us. And please do not follow the lab results because the reference range is always up to 25, because I don't know for what reason, maybe the intention is to keep many of us as pre-diabetic. Insulin level goes up before your blood sugar goes up. Blood sugar goes up only when it has become uncontrolled, but insulin has been high, would have been high for a long time before that. But healthy levels would be 5-7 millimoles. Okay. So checking only blood sugar is a big mistake. Big mistake. So when you do blood test, insulin is important. There's another very important test called homocysteine. And always remember, those who want to take care of health and age gracefully and remain youthful and healthy and strong, you also need to know your hormone levels. So insulin, as I mentioned, suppresses the immune system, and understand high insulin because of high blood sugar, because you eat a lot of carbs. It suppresses the hormones, especially the adrenal hormones called cortisol and DHEA. Both are important for the immune system, and they have their own functions in the body. Definitely, it accelerates aging. This is one classical example, which I'm sure all of you will agree, is look at diabetics. They age very fast, much faster. And insulin is an inflammatory hormone. You need insulin. Without insulin, we just cannot live, because you won't make muscles, and you need the glucose to enter, you need the magnesium, potassium, amino acids to enter the cell with the help of insulin. So we all need insulin. But when it is excess, it becomes a killer hormone. High insulin is a killer hormone. So insulin promotes inflammation. If you can, please remember this word, chronic inflammation, and Google. Chronic inflammation means you have inflammation in the body, which is usually measured as ESR or CRP. And this doesn't hurt you. There is, again, no pain, no headache, no fever, but it is chronic and silent. And we all know that this is the underlying cause for almost all the diseases. So you can get chronic inflammation from having bad bacteria or fungus in the gut. You can have chronic inflammation from toxins and heavy metals like mercury in the amalgams. You can chronically be inflamed and be silent about it from eating just excess carbs. So in my terminology, I call it A to Z. I don't think so any part of the body escapes the assault of high insulin levels. So excess is a death sentence you impose on yourself. No need for anybody to impose. Self-imposed death sentence. Maybe that's how we should call hyperinsulinemia. I'm always very straight. Sometimes my patients like me, most times they like me. Sometimes they look at me and wonder what kind of a doctor I am, because I believe I'm there to give them the facts. I'm not there to smooth talk and make people happy. And I usually tell my patients before I do blood tests for them, that spend that money if they're willing to change their diet and lifestyle. Otherwise, it becomes, not to say useless, but not so useful. I believe healing is my primary role, and I'm very happy to see people who have come and those who have healed. I suggest I give 2 opportunities. I'm sure some of you to be testimonies, 5 minutes each. Think about it. And Yamuna, take note if anybody wants to give testimonies. But then please understand, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying my patients. Any one of you who has been treated by a doctor who talks about natural solutions, you can share your experience. 2 of you. Each time we can have 2, 5 minutes each share. So healthy eating. So this means there are many ways you can eat healthy. My simplest way, what I share with my patients is this: eat a low carb diet, and always I tell them take your time to go into the transition. So usually it takes about 2 weeks to adapt to a new diet, and all new habits can be cultivated and ingrained in our head, the brain, after 21 days. That's why you see many cultures when they do fasting or prayers, they do for 21 days, because whatever you do for 21 days, we believe it is imprinted as a memory and it becomes a habit. You can create good habits, you can kill bad habits, 21 days. So the first 21 days could be a struggle. So let them take their time. So you should ask them to move from their normal habits of eating into a low carb diet. And when they eat the low carb diet, again, you need to tell them the type of carbs they can take. We'll go through. And the amount of carbs they can eat and when they should preferably avoid carbs. So if you want to know how much carbs to eat, look at the amount of vegetables. It should be 60%. Okay. Now the proteins and good fats. When I say good fats, I prefer virgin coconut oil, olive oil, ghee. Ghee for cooking is okay. Olive oil for cooking is okay. But I prefer coconut oil simply because I'm not sure whether we get good quality olive oil in this country anymore, although it's all labeled as cold pressed and extra virgin. So I prefer virgin coconut oil because it is also an MCT oil. So you can use it for cooking. Of course, don't waste the oil by deep frying. So 20 to 30% must be your proteins, eggs, non-vegetarians. Vegetarian food is good. I've already said why it is not good if you don't know how to choose your protein. For those who are non-vegetarian, eggs, fish, avocados, mixed nuts, all this will give you good source of protein. For those who are doing a lot of exercise and bodybuilding, you can also take whey protein. Now, in order to make it easy, I tell my patients to put beans and peas in this because it's very easy to cook beans and peas. You soak them, you steam, you cook them, and you can freeze it. When you want, you take a small amount and saute with coconut oil, dry chili, and onion, and whatever you want. So you have it as a portion. So you can mix it with vegetables and have an egg, and that becomes a meal. But all meals, preferably with vegetables and with good fats, especially virgin coconut oil mixed with the food. If you don't want to drink, drinking sometimes it's just a bit harsh on the throat. So I prefer it's mixed to. Now look at the amount of carbs. It should only be 10 to 15%. This is what I mean by a low carb diet. Okay. Then in this, you choose the carbs you can eat. Brown rice is better than white rice. Quinoa is better than rice. And you can have sweet potatoes and all through a few slides about millets because not so often we speak about it. Some things are good about millets, and I'll give you some brief idea. Please go on the line and search for more information. And when I say poisons, these are what the native people do not have or do not eat. You look at orang asli in this region, Malaysia, Indonesia, they don't have sugar. Poison. It's poison for all ages. Number two, they don't have refined flours. Very simple. Sit back and think about what the native don't have in their diet. So choose the type of carbs, the amount of carbs you can eat. Then this is what I call a low carb diet. Then what I tell my patients is the next stage would be to eat vegetables and protein with good fats without the carbs. So if I say vegetables is A, the yellow is B, the green is C, I tell my patients remove the C for 1 meal a day. When they have been comfortable with it, remove it for 2 meals and eat carbs with all the ABC only once a day. This would be ideal because you will get enough carbs anyway from vegetables. You have some carbs from beans and peas. You don't need to eat rice, millets, and although they are okay, but they still become sugar because they are carbohydrates. Remember this. Now, once they have gone from their normal diet, unhealthy diet, I don't say it's a normal diet, unhealthy diet to a low carb diet, and then take away the carbohydrates for 1 or 2 meals, the next step I tell them is try as much as possible not to eat carb for dinner, if possible. Because we do not want high blood sugar, high insulin during the night when the body should be repairing and rejuvenating us. So once you have gone through this, the next step would be intermittent fasting. Now, I'm not a big fan of big fancy diets. I'm not a big fan of prolonged keto diet. Intermittent fasting is good. This is what we have been eating. Many cultures, this is what has been there. Short hours of eating, long hours of not eating. So intermittent fasting, you also got to move gradually. once you can do a good intermittent fasting, that means you eat for a window of 8 hours. And for me, it's convenient if I have my breakfast at 10 o'clock. In between around 1, 2 p.m., I have a light meal if I want to. And I finish my dinner at 6 p.m. Okay. And because I exercise in the afternoon, I limit my main meal to the 6 p.m. because after that, you can have drinks. So the 8 hours of eating, 16 hours you're allowed to drink. Water, lemon juice, green tea, herbal tea, black coffee, until the next morning, 10 a.m. And my breakfast at 10 a.m. would be raw organic vegetable juice. When I come back home, I'll have beans, peas, eggs, vegetables with oil. And dinner is at 6 o'clock. That's my main meal. And very little rice or millets. So this intermittent fasting helps in a very, very big way, because remember, the body can heal and repair and rejuvenate when you give it a rest. So early dinner is very healthy. And the worst thing one can do is to have late dinners. Worst still is to have supper. And a big problem if you eat too much carbs. And you choose the type of carbs, you choose when you want to eat carbs. And then this would certainly fit into a low calorie diet. As I mentioned, it's tedious for people to measure their calories and weigh each meal. Ketogenic diet is either no carbs or very low carbs, preferably from only vegetables. Even that is considered a modified ketogenic diet. The purpose of ketogenic diet is to starve your cells of all supplies of glucose. And this is a diet which is okay if you are trying to reverse a chronic illness like diabetes and hypertension. And we don't encourage ketogenic diet for prolonged periods of time because there's a possibility of ketogenic diet making you acidic than alkaline. And you don't need to do it for prolonged period of time, but it's especially useful for patients fighting cancer. So if you want to treat cancer with ketogenic diet, probably 1 to 3 months, and prolonged ketogenic diet, so it's not advisable. So the best would be what I've described for prevention and treatment, and keep ketogenic diet as a stepping stone to reverse your problems, and then go on the low carb diet and eat the low carb diet intermittently. I'm sure you all would have heard about Mediterranean diet. Of course, there's a lot of seafood, lots of olive oil, not so much of chicken and red meat. There is wine. What actually we don't understand from some of these diets that has been found to be beneficial is people enjoy their life. They are socially connected. They are happy, and there's a lot of smile on their faces. So it's very, very important. So the same thing goes to Okinawa diet. This is an island in Japan where centenarians are not, you can see quite often, and they are very, very active even in the 80s, 90s, and 100s. So the reason why they seem to eat quite a bit of rice, there's a lot of fresh vegetables, fish, but they are very socially connected. There is a Japanese word called ikigai, I-K-I-G-A-I, ikigai. Ikigai means you need to find the reason for living. So every one of us have an ikigai. So we have a reason. We should have a reason, a purpose, not a purpose. This is actually the reason. Why do you want to live? One of that principle of ikigai is if you want to live and enjoy your life, you need a healthy body. So that is one reason. Of course, the reasons can be many. You can be a better human. You can help others. There are many things you can have. Those are all the reasons for your living. And Japanese people, especially those who live in this island, they enjoy this ikigai. They wake up with the ikigai in them. They know what they want in life. So they work hard and they keep their heart, soul, mind as clean, pure as possible. They are socially connected. They celebrate. They wine. They drink Japanese sake, and they enjoy. So they don't overdo anything, but they are very, very connected to each other. So this part of the Okinawa diet keeps them very healthy. So it's not just eating a healthy diet and brooding yourself lonely at home. No. Blue zone diet, there are countries, areas in the countries, there are, I think, probably about 7 areas where people have, people live long, much, much longer than other areas. But if you really go down into their diet, you can see that they have lots of diet that is actually alkalizing. And again, the reason for that is really hard work, happiness, having a purpose for Atkins diet is unfortunately, in my opinion, not a so healthy diet. You can do this for a short period of time if you want to reverse some medical disorders. A lot of protein. This is a high protein diet. Two things. One, it makes you very acidic. Number two, as you age, you got to limit your protein intake because it can switch on some of the cancer switches. So low carb diet, intermittent fasting, once you're on it, you can do regular fasting. Regular fasting means what I suggest, you can fast once a week, just water fasting. Millets and sweet potatoes, just to remind ourselves. Okay, if you can get hold of organic millets, like India, there are still many small time farmers who cultivate millets organically. Millets, you can divide them into healthy millets, neutral millets, and unhealthy millets. I've given in one of the slides will carry some names of the healthy millets. Now, if you Google and read about millets, they are grown with very little water. These plants don't need, they are very hardy plants. So they don't need a lot of, they don't need pesticides or they don't even need a lot of fertilizers. They don't need pesticides, they need very little water. So that makes them sort of organic. So, and they're also environmentally friendly. So if you can get hold of organically grown millets, learn how to cook them, because they have both soluble and insoluble fibers, this would be a good choice as your cup. So there are positive millets. These are beneficial: foxtail, kodo, barnyard millets, brown top millet, little millet. They all have their related health benefits. Then you have neutral millets like ragi, bajra, baragu, white jowa, jowa. You will get these recordings with the slides, and you can always search and find the source of organic. What is negative millet is wheat. Sometimes I have patients who ask me, in Punjab, my grandparents have been always eating chapati. Why can't I eat chapati? Because modern wheat is toxic. Simply because if you look at 100 years ago, the wheat grain had fewer DNA in them compared to the modern wheat, which has got 2 to 3 times more DNA material. So these are all modified. So and wheat has gluten. You can't eat gluten. It's very damaging unless you want to enjoy it once in a while. Then coming back to fasting. Now, why do you fast? It boosts your immune system, helps to improve your detoxification. You will simply notice that everybody who fast will pass more urine. That's because the body is eliminating. You will repair and rejuvenate yourself. And these are medical terms. You can take a snapshot. There are 2 very important switches in the body. We call them as cell signaling molecules. One of that is AMPK. This is the master switch that controls metabolism. It also helps in many, many other ways, including reducing the risk of cancer. The problem of aging is this switch gets weaker, as opposed to mTOR switch, which you can switch it on by eating a high carb diet. That's why I say Atkins diet is not good. So as we age, we need to reduce the type of proteins we eat and the amount of proteins we take. Limit it to something that is easily digestible, and you don't have to eat a lot of proteins, because that tends to switch on the other switch, mTOR switch. Because a body, you need to build the body when you are young. So the mTOR is very active when you are young. And AMPK should be active when you are aging. But unfortunately, if we keep eating a very high carb diet, the AMPK gets weaker. So you can read more. And there is another medical term called autophagy, which means self-eating. This is what happens when you fast, even intermittent fasting. So, but 24 hours and beyond, this is very active. Autophagy means you clean up, you eat up your own dirt. So all the dead cells and degenerated cells and unhealthy proteins, misfolded proteins, will be removed from the cells by certain organelles within the cell, lysosomes. So when you remove dead cells and degenerated old cells, what have you got in your body? You got a new cell. So fasting actually gives you a new self. So that definitely slows down aging, a lot of medical problems. So people fast once a week. Sometimes you can also do pulsed fasting. You can fast every 3 months for longer periods, 3 to 5 days. Okay. The other benefit of fasting is they activate the longevity genes called sirtuins. One of the supplements called resveratrol actually activates the sirtuins, which you can activate by fasting. So when you fast, you activate your AMPK and you suppress your mTOR and activate your sirtuins. So there is longevity. So as I said, you can do 1 day fasting every 3 months. You can do 3 to 5 days fasting. Don't do prolonged fasting. Good oils for cooking would be cold pressed, preferably, not heat generated. No trans fats, no margarine. These are the oils: coconut oil, olive oil, groundnut oil, sesame, avocado, flaxseed oil. And there are always debates about certain oils like linseed oil and all that. But most studies would show these are the good oils, but they should be cold pressed. You can use healthy cookware. Steel is okay, glass is okay, but the traditional way of cooking is earthen cookware. And you have lots of natural solutions to remain healthy. We will try to cover as much as we can in the next webinar series. But my advice to all of you all is that do not take calcium, iron, and copper unless your deficiency has been proven. A big mistake by women. I actually have not prescribed for more than 20 years routine calcium and iron, even iron in pregnancy as well. I only give it if one is deficient, proven deficiency, because they are toxic when they are taken as a routine supplement. Okay, I have a few videos I'm going to share. My habit is every year in the month of March, I'll assess my physical fitness. I'm always very active, but in the month of March, I'll assess my physical fitness just to see how much setback I have with aging. Okay, so this is just for entertainment. I'm not here telling you that I'm the healthiest and strongest person. Please don't get me wrong. Maybe maybe it's an incentive. 60 plus. I'm sure some of you would have seen this. Yeah, 60 plus. And if you want to be in this club, then you have to keep yourself healthy. We can be in this club. There is another club called $100 billion club. Can't even dream about it. Don't dream about it. I think that much of money will make us feel, most probably will become less empathic. So, can you do it? Of course we can. See how fit they are. This is good. So flexible. See how graceful. The gracefulness is with power in the hand. So strong. Arms are so strong. It's like he's just floating. So if anyone want to apply to join this club, membership is free. Okay, now to look at the chats, is it?
Can Dato, I have lined up.
No, I don't see the.
There's
At the bottom.
yeah, it's there at the bottom, but I have also lined up the questions.
Hold on, sir. I can see everything, but I don't see chat. What is that?
It's okay, Dato. I can
Yeah.
read out
Okay.
to you.
Yeah.
Okay, first, do we need omega 369 or only omega 3 from Dr. Fauzia?
Omega-3 is very important because they form a large part of your cell membrane. Omega-7 is also useful. Omega-9 is healthy. Omega-6 is needed. But I usually prescribe omega-3. I don't prescribe omega-6 usually. And for the same reason, I also don't encourage someone to consume oils that have, omega-6 in them, because, the reason is simply because our diet has given us a lot of omega-6. And that's one reason why we have so much of health disorders from cookies and bakeries and trans fats, and people get a lot of omega-6 already. So I limit mostly to omega-3.
So next, we have questions from Dr. Sofian. There are quite a number of questions from him, so I'll read out one by one. Okay, Dato totally agreed that we should keep insulin level around 5 to 7. Dr. Joseph Mercola stated that if our fasting insulin is above 5, that means that we are not burning fat as our primary fuel. What's your take on this?
If your insulin is low, the body, that means your sugar is low. Your body will switch to fat burning mode. That is actually, if the fat burning mode is significant and prolonged, then that becomes ketosis. That's the purpose of keto diet. But very low insulin levels, below 3.5, means one is cortisol deficient.
Okay. Next, Dato, he also says, from my observation, using constant glucose monitor, CGM, I found that complex carb is much better than simple carbs in terms of the speed of glucose spike, but it will still elevate blood glucose level and definitely insulin only a bit slower. Therefore, portion size is very critical here and should take into consideration as well.
Complex carbohydrates are sufficient. When you want carbohydrates, so I say you don't have to eat rice. You don't have to eat rice. I can go and do everything I want to do just by eating vegetables and the rest of it. Even if I don't eat rice. So rice is, to me, it's just nice to eat with curry. You add a little bit. But complex carbohydrates are better because the sugar is increased slowly, and so the spike in insulin is regulated. So you don't have a spike that actually offsets your system. So the increase in insulin level is also very correct.
Dato', you can stop your screen sharing so that they can view your image better when you speak. They can see you.
Okay.
Okay, Dato', next. Dato', to build a strong immune system, definitely we need to have a complete and enough amino acid from daily protein intake as a vital backbone. For somebody who has above 50 years old, how much gram of protein per kg of body weight the recommended daily protein intake? And of course, unluckily, we can't depend solely on plant-based protein.
1 gram per kilogram is sufficient for most people, unless you are very physically very active and into bodybuilding. So it can go to 1.5 grams per kilogram. If you are aging, you can certainly look at even 0.5 grams as long as it is from different sources. Many people have reservations about the cholesterol. I mean, eggs, especially the yolk. It's a very healthy food. It is complete protein. It's a complete protein. Very simple. You look at it. If you keep it warm, a life comes out of it in 21 days. And that life got everything. So how can it be an unhealthy food? So don't link it to cholesterol and unhealthy. Egg is good. Sea fish, not farmed fish, is good. Nuts will give you proteins. Avocado will give you.
Dato', comparing resveratrol and PTEROSTIL, testosterone, BENT.
Terolsbin. Yeah, terolsbin.
Yeah, terolsbin, which one you think is more powerful to activate longevity gene, especially the SIRT1?
I don't have much experience, Sophian, with terolsbin, but my knowledge and what I've come across so far, that resveratrol does a lot of good for ourselves, especially activating the longevity genes. So I haven't explored that part much. So I take resveratrol.
Dato', if we do intermittent fasting, will it be okay if we consume a bit higher of protein just to balance the catabolic and with anabolic processes and maintain homeostasis?
If you no, actually, if you thermogenesis, sometimes you may say that you feel cold if you don't eat for a longer period of time. You got to look at it, maybe because you're hypothyroid, maybe because your magnesium levels are low, or you don't simply generate enough ATP in your mitochondria, which means you could get help from niacin. But you don't necessarily have to take more protein because of intermittent fasting. If you are physically very active, you are building muscle and bones, then you can increase.
Okay, that's about it from Dr. Sufyan. Next question is from Mr. Bala. How do we classify the rolled oats? And is parboiled rice a simple carbohydrate?
Yes, rice is a simple carbohydrate because it becomes glucose very fast in your blood. That's why parboil and the regular rice, the difference is amount of carbohydrates. But what difference it makes if you cook it in rice cooker? Traditionally, when we cook rice, we throw away the water. It's not rice cook. So when you cook it in rice, you still get the whole lot of carbs into your body. So simple carbs, brown rice is better than white rice, as I mentioned. Oats, rolled oats or unrolled oats or squeezed oats or whatever, or rolled over oats. The concern is the gluten. And I know many people eat oats for breakfast because it's supposed to control cholesterol. You have many other healthy ways of controlling cholesterol. Make sure your hormones are balanced. Your hormones are made from cholesterol. So if you are low in hormones, naturally your cholesterol will be higher because the body is intelligent to make more cholesterol, hoping that they become hormones. If you have any silent inflammation in your body, you will have high cholesterol. So look at the causes and look at natural ways of reducing cholesterol, exercise, have more muscles in your body. Niacin, B3, vitamin B3 is a very good way of reducing cholesterol, but don't expect results soon. It will take 2 to 3 months.
Okay, Dato, we have a few questions from Miss Grace Siahaya. Dato, is it true that intermittent fasting repairs damaged intestinal cells and prevents leaky gut?
It repairs the entire body.
Okay.
And if you have a health issue, do 3 to 5 days of water fasting, but don't do it straight away. Go from normal unhealthy diet to low carb, then you do your intermittent fasting, then you do water fasting once a week, and then get used to it. Then you do longer fasting, 2 days, then 3 days, up to 5 days, then you repair, do a lot more repairs.
Dato, what is the expected level for fasting insulin? Is there a correlation between insulin receptor signaling in normal blood level and insulin resistance? What is the correlation?
If you have a fasting insulin level of 5 to 7 nanomoles, and if you maintain this over a period of time, you will certainly reverse insulin resistance. You will reverse insulin resistance. I can mention one of my secondary school classmate who has been a diabetic for 15 years. Sugar used to be 14 to 16 on insulin and 3 types of drugs. Within 2 months, I removed insulin and all the drugs and just gave him metformin. Maybe 2 months or just less than that, his blood sugar came to 5 to 6 postprandial. Remember, without insulin and all those drugs. So is diabetes reversible? Very easy, provided you treat the root cause. So what does that mean? Is that in spite of taking insulin, if his sugar was high, it was because he was having insulin resistance. He was not insulin deficient. That was proven by blood test. He had a lot of insulin. So that's insulin resistance. So can you improve insulin resistance to insulin sensitivity? Of course you can. But all this diet and fasting, it takes a little bit of time to help to reverse your changes. So you keep monitoring.
From Dr. Sankey, is there any eating regimen or supplement to reverse stage 3 kidney disease? Dato, between fasting insulin and fasting C-peptide, which one is your most preference to be checked?
I check usually insulin. I don't check C-peptides.
Eating
What was
regimen
Sanki's
or
question
supplements?
again? First question.
Eating regimen or supplements to reverse stage 3 kidney disease?
Once you are in stage 3 kidney disease, that of course you have to limit your amount of protein. You can go by what your nephrologist advise. Choose the right type of protein. Some supplements are still very useful. Vitamin C, magnesium is useful. And for those who have been trained to do chelation, you realize that stage 3, if in trained hands, a low dose chelation to start with will help the kidney function. But definitely intermittent fasting and regular water fasting.
Dato, may I know what is the difference between keto diet and low carb diet? Is it true that carbohydrates are required in producing hormones?
Hormones are produced like insulin as a response to carbohydrates. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Carbohydrates has got any connection to making hormones in your body. Keto diet is actually a strict keto diet, no carbs. Modified or adapted keto diet would be a low carb diet, usually from complex carbohydrates, vegetables. So you do this for more than, it takes a few weeks to be in ketosis. You do this. If you want to achieve that ketosis where actually reversal of diseases happens, then you have to take 70% healthy fats. So that ketosis doesn't happen with low carb diet. But when you have no food for 16 hours, If the body needs, because there's very little sugar, so it will go into fat burning mode, but it won't be a prolonged or strong ketosis. If you look at how people, natives eat, and olden civilizations, they were not eating like us for prolonged period. They had short meals, shorter hours for meals, and the rest of the day they had no food. So intermittent fasting fits into that category.
Okay. Dato, is it okay if we use almond flour or coconut flour in baking for low carb diet?
Almond flour is okay, coconut flour is okay.
Okay, question from Aina. What about millet milk, Dato? I bought one from pharmacy. It's quite sweet, but not overpowering.
Millet, I don't think so it should be sweet. I mean, I don't think so it should be sweet, but then check the ingredients. If it is, it should be, even almond milk, it shouldn't be enriched with sugar. If you want to make it sweet for your children, add a little bit of honey.
Okay.
But
Dato, during
millet milk
fasting,
is okay, provided you choose the healthy millets, positive millets.
sorry, Dato. Question from TLC. During fasting, can we still take supplement?
Once the hormone, if you are a hypothyroid, and if you are on thyroid replacement hormones, my advice is take. Otherwise, you'll feel cold and you'll burn. Your metabolism will be slow. So that's not what you want. You want to actually feel still warm and healthy and strong. So thyroid hormone should be taken. If you are very cortisol deficient, very stressful job and situations, you can still take your hydrocortisone. But when you're fasting, you don't have to take your supplements. I don't take, because the purpose of fasting is resting. I want to rest my system. So when I do water fasting, I don't take supplements, and I do once a week.
From Mr. Nomas, can show the oral supplement again. The one showing do not take iron, calcium unnecessarily. I'm not so sure about this, Dato. I think it's the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Dato, this question, we will pass them the recording later, so they'll be able to view.
Yeah. So
So
you will
I'll
have
go to
it
the
and
next
you
question.
can review. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, from Miss Rulani, how many times we must check our insulin fasting level? Is it every 3 months?
1 second. Let me see how to come out of. What do I do, Yamuna?
Sorry, Dato?
Okay. Sorry, the
Yeah.
question?
How many times must we check our insulin, fasting insulin? Is it every 3 months? From Miss Rulani.
You do it as a routine. You have one measurement. You follow healthy lifestyle. Exercise is very important to reduce the insulin resistance. Maybe you can, what I do in my practice, because it also costs money. So I repeat in 2 months' time. And if it is normal, the patient maintains healthy diet, lifestyle, I just do it again a year later when I do in.
Okay. From Dr. Sofian again, what can you say about patients of insulin on insulin injections? You mentioned wheat flour only. What about rice, sourdough, coconut, or almond flour?
Those who are taking insulin. Read the question again. Sorry.
Sorry, Dato. What can you say of patients on insulin injections? That's question 1. Then the second question is, you mentioned wheat flour only. What about rice, sourdough, coconut, or almond flour?
First question, the insulin injection. As I mentioned, almost all adult onset diabetic patients, or say all, to start with, they are insulin resistant. They have too much insulin, which just is not working. So you'll have to improve the cellular health with everything that I mentioned, and supplements and hormones. So giving insulin to them is dangerous, because I mentioned insulin is an inflammatory hormone. It increases chronic inflammation. It increases cellular proliferation. That means it increases the risk of cancer. So you take insulin if you are insulin deficient. So why should somebody put a patient on insulin without testing their insulin levels? How did they decide this is good for them? So that's wrong. Coconut flour, almond flour is okay. Rice, I'm not saying don't eat rice. I'm suggesting
Rye, Dato.
around
Sorry, Dato. It's
rye.
rye.
Rye is actually a neutral millet, so that's okay.
Dato.
Yeah.
Next, Dato, how effectively resistant starch in slowing down blood glucose level and insulin level?
How efficient is?
How effectively resistant starch is in slowing down blood glucose level and insulin level?
I'm not sure what is the meaning of resistant starch. I'm not sure.
Sorry,
I haven't
Dr.
come
Sophian,
across.
maybe you can explain in the chat. I can read the next question again. Okay, doctor, what diet do you recommend for someone with hyperthyroidism?
Definitely gluten-free diet. I can share many experiences that where even the goiter shrinks back almost normal. Even the thyroid nodules will disappear on a gluten-free diet, zero gluten for at least 6 months. And you will measure the antibodies at the beginning, and at the end of it, you'll notice that even autoantibodies come down. So it's just about gluten.
Okay. Dato, when we have carb withdrawal and cravings in the evenings or late night before sleep, what do you advise to control the hunger? Do we need to balance the hormones like dopamine and serotonin axis? From Celine.
You can balance the hormones, but remember the cravings come from eating an unhealthy diet. Go back to the basic. So once they start reducing the amount of carbs and selecting healthier carbs, then this will definitely be under control. And of course, if one is low in serotonin, then they have this carbohydrate cravings because they are just unhappy and depressed, and that causes carbohydrate craving. But first thing first, try to look at their diet. Just by increasing their serotonin and dopamine and not controlling the diet is not going to help. Make sure they exercise, they get some exposure to sunlight, make sure they take their magnesium and a healthy diet.
Okay. Dato, next, is there any suggestion for young adult to grow in height? Around 19 years old, Dr. Fauzia.
The only treatment that okay. You have to make sure that they have healthy thyroid hormones. And one hormone that actually can increase height for the age of 10 to 12 would be human growth hormone, but you need a very high dose and it becomes extremely expensive.
Dato, does thin hair caused by lack of calcium in the body? Manisha.
That's what?
Thin hair caused by lack of calcium in the body.
Thin hair can be because of hypothyroidism. You can be low in biotin. You can be low in zinc. Well, if you think it is because of calcium, have your calcium levels measured. And most labs nowadays, they'll give you the corrected calcium. So you can check your levels. If it is low, if you want to supplement calcium, please make sure you take it with other minerals and vitamin D, and until the desired results are achieved, or until your calcium level is corrected. Do not supplement yourself for long.
Okay. Dato, is it okay to have keto vegan almond flour bread? No sugar substitute on a daily basis, say for morning breakfast, Serena.
You can have, as long as you understand the amount of carbohydrates you're eating. And in my opinion, I won't advise just carb. I would advise mixing it with vegetables and good fats. Then it gives you the satiety. It slows down the absorption of simple carbs into the blood.
Dato, does taking C iodine helps in maintaining healthy thyroid, Jennifer?
Yes, it is definitely helpful because iodine is necessary for your thyroid hormone synthesis. This is why using fluoride in toothpaste is so detrimental. So I mentioned glucose prevents vitamin C from entry into the cell. If you drink fluoridated water or you take fluoridated toothpaste, the fluoride will inhibit the iodine from getting into the thyroid cells. And how are you going to make your thyroid hormones? So, you know, every day, or most dentists are saying fluoridated toothpaste is healthy and prevent caries. In that case, why even the children have so much of dental problems? If fluoridated toothpaste is good for dental health, then children should have healthy, old people should have healthy teeth. But it's just the reverse, and we are still not willing to change. So, iodine is very important for thyroid health. But iodine alone may not be able to correct hypothyroidism unless you supplement with hormones. So, well, if you want to try correcting hypothyroidism with minerals, I'll suggest iodine and magnesium. You just check. If it reverses your hypothyroidism, fine. If it doesn't, then you'll have to consider hormones as well.
Okay. Dato, please advise how apple cider vinegar can be added into diet and its benefits from Pagan.
It's supposed to be good for health for many reasons. You can mix it with salad. You can actually add it to some warm water and sip it through meals to help your digestion. So that's how, and some people take it in an empty stomach. So, but if you are sensitive to apple cider vinegar, then you have to start at a very small amount. So maybe a teaspoon or less and slowly increase. Yep.
Dato, from Dr. Sofian again, what's your comment on paleo diet?
Paleo diet is what cavemen have been eating. So they ate whatever they had. Again, comes back to short periods of eating, long periods of not eating, and periods of starvation. And so they had lots of proteins and whatever, tubers, or there wasn't much of vegetables and agriculture. Certainly, there were no grains. So we have moved our lifestyle, the environment has changed. So if you are physically very, very active and you know you hunt and you run, climb mountains, and a higher amount of protein would be okay. But then now we live a very sedentary lifestyle, so we don't need to eat so much of protein. The problem is again our amount of alkalinity in the diet. So I would still, in my opinion, this is what I eat, and this is what I've been practicing telling my patients. Always make sure 60% of the meal is vegetable. Very little grains or no grains.
Okay. Dato, for diabetic patients on a daily insulin injection, intermediate acting or long acting insulin, when we check fasting insulin, how many hours the patient needs to be off insulin injection? From Dr. Sankey.
Depends on how long your long-acting insulin is. If it is long-acting for 12 hours, then you have to stop at least for a day, I believe, because if they say long-acting for 12 hours, the half-life comes down in 12 hours. It's still going to be there, so you avoid for a day and then you check. Short-acting is 6 to 8 hours, so it's okay if you take a dose at night and the next morning check. But I see the need for insulin only among type 1 diabetes. unless you have gone into pancreatic exhaustion in type 2 diabetics because of mismanaged diabetes.
Okay. Dato, what vitamin should take after quarantine from COVID, Manisha?
Uh, 98% of the tested positive cases are either totally asymptomatic or they suffer from mild flu-like symptoms. So if you want to prevent a viral infection, you still have to look at the critical vitamins. Glutathione, I mentioned the other day, vitamin C, vitamin D3, and if you want to look at a mineral, it's magnesium and as well as zinc. So if you can't get hold of anything, just vitamin C. If you want to, if you are quarantined, just take. If you have exposure, take more vitamin C. And I mentioned in the last webinar, which we'll cover again when I talk on vitamin C, about the dose, the frequency. So when you are healthy, you take 1 to 2 grams 3 times a day. For adults, more is better. Vitamin C, in my opinion, the more is better. But when you have a problem, when you're exposed to an infection or if you're infected, you have to increase the dose and take it very frequently, preferably every 2 hours or 3 hours. 2 hours would be better until the symptoms go away. The earliest would be 3 days.
Okay. Dato, is there any difference from natural insulin from pancreas and the manufactured insulin? Do they differ in terms of being resistant? Dr. Kiran.
Insulin usually used to be from porcine, and it resembles human insulin, but it's not. All the Muslim countries, it's not. I don't think so. It's available any. So most of it would be synthetically manufactured. Of course, you can always develop autoantibodies. You can. But coming back to still the basics, why do you need insulin in the first place if you can reverse insulin resistance?
Dato, can HCG be used before the age of 16 for linear growth?
HCG before the age of 16. I don't think so, because if you use HGH or it's human chorionic gonadotrophin. No,
Here
I
it's
don't have
written
any.
HCG.
Yeah, human chorionic gonadotrophin. No, I don't have any experience with this.
Okay, from Dr. Sofian, resistant starch is just like Japanese sushi in a way. We can cook potatoes and keep it until cold, say by put it in the refrigerator for one night, and then we can eat indirectly or warming it a bit.
Yeah, probably yes, Sofian, but then be mindful about the amount of carbs. That's all. Yeah, potatoes can be rich in carbs. Sweet potato at least has fiber and oils, but better to eat with the skin. We modern people peel the skin. Yeah.
Dato,
Thanks, Sofian.
is stevia, erythritol, or natural honey good for diabetic for use? Anand.
Stevia is a plant sugar, supposed to be okay. Honey in small amounts, you just need a teaspoon a day or maybe a little bit more in a glass of warm water is better. Okay. Now, my question is this artificial sweeteners and stevia is only for people who still cannot fight their cravings, probably because they do not adjust themselves and they don't adapt to changes slowly. So if you want to change drastically, the cravings is still there. So you still have to satisfy your sweet tooth and hunger, sugar craving. So you still go for stevia. And I'm not saying stevia is no good, but the fact is you're not able to fight the craving. What are you fighting? You're fighting for better health. So you don't need the sugar taste.
Okay. Dato, what food to eat for hyperthyroidism?
Still the same, low carb intermittent diet minus the gluten.
Okay. Dato, from Miss Zulaika, hi, good evening. If toothpaste with fluoride is not recommended, what should we use to brush our teeth? Sorry if this was already asked or mentioned.
Choose a non-fluoridated toothpaste, and then if you actually go into the details of the ingredients of toothpaste, majority of the toothpaste, you will be shocked what they contain. We made a comparison of a lot of the toothpaste that's on the shelf. They have so much of toxic stuff in them. So choose a natural toothpaste. If you say natural toothpaste, usually it's non-fluoridated. That's okay.
Okay. Dato, from Miss Grace, is it better to take magnesium and zinc in the morning on an empty stomach, or is it better to take at night before sleeping?
Magnesium you can take in the morning or at night. It should be taken with food unless it's magnesium chloride, which is a liquid form. You want to take it anytime, but taking it at night helps you to relax and sleep better.
Okay. Dr. Sophian again, we know that the function of AMPK, mTOR, and autophagy is quite important as an intracellular signaling pathway and for sensing the energy status of the body. Is there any certain biological marker that we can use to detect them at any time?
I'm not so sure whether there's any biological marker unless indirectly you assess biological markers like whether your telomeres are shortening too fast, or you use a biomarker like what Schellenberger mentioned the other day, assessing your mitochondrial function, how much oxygen versus carbon dioxide that you use and produce. So that would be maybe indirect way of measuring. I'm not sure about any other way. So.
Okay. From Miss Rina, what is your opinion about giving high dose vitamin C for autoimmune patient?
That would be necessary. That would be necessary because dysregulated immune system. But again, autoimmune disease, the way I treat is I treat fungus, candida, and I remove gluten and of course sugar and dairy products, mainly gluten, and I balance their hormones. Some hormones, especially DHEA, are very, very low in all autoimmune patients. So that's how I treat it.
Okay.
Yamuna, sorry, before
Yes,
you go to the next question, you've only got 5 more minutes here.
Okay, Dato, we'll just go through the questions. Dato?
Yes.
Yeah. To reverse diabetic, exercise, low carb diet, intermittent fasting, will it help?
Of course, it will help.
Okay. Dato, next, does bottle guard help improve kidney function?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Bitter gourd, is it?
I am not sure, Dato. Maybe
maybe it's bitter gourd. Anything bitter is supposed to help liver function, traditionally.
Not kidney function, Dato.
I'm not sure, but of course, if your liver function improves, then other organs should also improve.
Okay, Dato, from if I am on intermittent diet, mostly eat 10 to 6 p.m. But sometimes if I have dinner appointment for 1 or 2 days to change time of eating from 12 to 8 p.m., is that okay? Or must be always the same time so that the body can work?
Of course, regularity is important for body to function because they all have the biological clock. But once in a way, if you have to make an exception, just delay the next morning breakfast or go to lunch. as long as it is 8 hours and 16 minutes.
Dato, from Dr. Sofian again, is there any study that you know which compares the reactive oxygen species as a byproduct of glucose metabolism with fat oxidation, where ketone bodies was mostly being synthesized in the liver?
I think there is one test called 8-hydroxy DGE, I think so, from the urine that actually measures oxidative stress. Next question.
Dato, from Miss Grace, what food is good for our mitochondria?
Definitely, please understand this. Sugar, when it is burned, it produces free radicals that damages your mitochondria. Glucose. So if you eat a low carb diet or diet without grains and eat them intermittently with regular fasting, the best way to protect your mitochondria. And of course, there are mitochondrial supplements.
Okay, Dato, last question, personal question.
We can give them another 5 minutes of
last question, Dato. Your
Okay.
personal question. Will you be sharing your six packs, Dato?
Sorry?
Will you be sharing your six packs picture, Dato?
I don't have 6 packs. It's very difficult. It's a lot of tedious work I don't have. I wish I had. If I have, I'll show.
Okay. Okay. I think that's
I saw a
Dato,
question about
one last question.
metformin.
Metformin. Yeah. Metformin is a drug. Is there any replacement for this?
In my opinion, if you want to control diabetes with the drug, metformin is a far better choice. Because this is not new. This is a very old drug. And then we know that metformin is able to reduce cancers. It protects the heart disease. And remember, I mentioned about AMPK. It's the master metabolic switch. Metformin, one of the main benefits is because it actually activates AMPK. Of course, AMPK you can activate through fasting and many other ways, but metformin, that's what it does. So among the drugs, this is an angel. So this is the only drug I'll advise patients to take. And metformin is beneficial in someone who's not able to control fasting blood sugar despite healthy diet and lifestyle, because this happens in aging people. Liver gluconeogenesis, that means you start producing glucose from the liver during your sleep. That's why sometimes, irrespective of everything you do, your fasting blood sugar is high and a doctor don't believes you. So metformin helps here. Insulin does not work for liver gluconeogenesis. Remember, and a lot of drugs don't work. Metformin.
Okay. Dato, one last question. Does chromium supplement help to reduce blood sugar?
Yeah, chromium, zinc, are minerals that will help with insulin resistance and blood sugar control.
That's about it, Dato.
Okay. Thank you very much. Namaskaram. Towards a healthy life and healthy living.